Players Championship alive. Going to be against Shawn OBrien, and what's a very, very important match here for Chris Andersen with his green-white Megamorph deck. He got off to a good start. I remember 5-0, I believe, to start things.
Yeah.
Now he's 5-3. He's going to start off with the Forest. The follow-up is a Warden of the First Tree, and we're going to go over to Shawn OB. It'll be a Cinderglade, and just the passing of the turn as Andersen will take a draw step here. Wooded Foothills is what he's found. He'll play a Windswept Heath, sacrifice that, perhaps a basic on the way to pump up that Warden of the First Tree. He will come across here for 3 points of damage.
Warden also a very important card to open with in this matchup. And with the right draw here of Silk Wrap, Stasis, Snares, and Dromoka's commands, a way for Andersen to win is just prevent OBrien from ever getting a threat into play.
Over to Shawn OBrien, we're going to go. He's got a Forest as land number 2. And now an Abbot of Carol Keep. Atarka's command is gone for good. And now we head over to Chris. Gideon the draw. Wooded Foothills is land number 3 here for Chris, it appears. A little slow to play. I'm unsure if that's the one he wants to play or not, but he'll go with that. He'll sacrifice. Gonna fall down to 18. We'll see what he wants to play on this turn. Gonna get a Canopy Vista, not much of a surprise there. And I'll come across here for 3 with the Warden. The follow-up is a Death Mist Raptor. I like the use of all your mana every turn.
Yep. And Death Mist Raptor also nice in this matchup because there's really no way to power through it without losing your creature, with the exception of Temur Battle Rage. And if you get to trade Temur Battle Rage for your Death Mist Raptor at your Andersen spot, you're pretty happy.
A Mountain is the draw here for Shawn. Abbott might be coming in, and it is. There's an Atarka's command. And a land's going to come in.
So this allows him, if he has Temur Battle Rage, to just power through the Death Mist Raptor.
Well, I'm assuming the Death Mist Raptor blocked?
Yes, I think Andersen, I believe Andersen said block. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay. We'll get
Find out
confirmation, yeah. Because I'm horrified to play against this deck and let something through. This is a Titan Strength.
All right, well.
This is a Titan Strength. So 200 million. Is he? I don't think he's dead.
Well, let's see here. Target's command is, I mean, each of these are 4, 4, and 5. So
Chris is going to fall down to 4.
yeah, it's not good.
No, it's actually quite bad. So he falls down to 4. He'll draw a card. Wingmate Rock. Not exactly what the doctor ordered. Here comes Warden. Andersen's just going to pass the turn back. OBrien will draw. Again, the nice thing here is that there's not a lot of burn in these kind of decks.
Yeah.
That's the one benefit of what's happening here. It's a Morph, which is a Den Protector.
Now, this is a small mistake here from OBrien, but possibly a critical one. He needed to sacrifice the Windswept Heath as the first order of business, because now Andersen gets to respond with Dromoka's command and just clean OBrien out.
Yeah, it looks like Chris may have a response to this fetch land, as you mentioned.
Yeah, the first order of business is you just need to have 5 mana available, so you can morph, put it face down, and not get this killed. Because OBrien now does really need to make sure that he gets back this Atarka's command or some sort of pump spell, because he's likely locked out of combat for the rest of the game. He's going to have to burn Andersen out.
Here's the basic forest. I think here comes the Teamer Battle Rage, potentially. Yeah, there's Teamer Battle Rage, and I think Chris now is going to respond.
And I think OBrien would have been better served this turn just playing his morph and saying go. Then he gets back the Tarkus command most likely, and then he has a Tarkus command plus Teamer Battle Rage to try to punch through lethal next turn.
There's Stasis Snare. Pass the turn back. Andersen will draw. There's Soak Wrap. That's going to take care of the morph. That's a Den Protector. And now here come the beatdowns. And all of a sudden now, OBrien's facing lethal on the very next turn. He'll draw. It's a mountain. And that's going to do it. So Chris Andersen's going to win game number 1 here over Shawn OBrien. Green-White Megamorph very quickly up a game over Red-Green Landfall. Don't think these games are going to be very long.
Well, sometimes the game slows down where OBrien will get in a lot of damage, but it'll be short of lethal. And Andersen will have to sit back and play defense for a very long time. Most of the time, though, Landfall either runs the Megamorph deck out of the gym or Megamorph stabilizes pretty early on and can just attack through uncontested.
Sideboards is where we're going now between these two players, and Shawn OBrien is where we're going to start with his Red-Green Landfall deck. So you'll find a Sark and the Dragon Speaker, 2 Outpost Siege, 2 Rending Volley, a Wild Slash, 3 Arc Lightnings, 2 Rose, 2 Fire Impulse, and 2 Yasova Dragonclaw.
So I think you want some amount of removal. It's easy to go overboard here, but some mixture of the Wild Slashes and the Roasts and the Fire Impulses will come in. I think Yasova Dragonclaw is very powerful here. Andersen doesn't get it off the table that easily, and he's got a lot of mid-range threats to take. And I don't mind having the 1 Sarkin as part of your top end, as Andersen's deck is vulnerable to flyers.
Other side of things here for Chris: 2 Become Immense and Evolutionary Leap, 2 Hollowed Moonlight, a Quarantine Field, 2 Secure the Ways, 2 Valor Stance, 3 Surge of Righteousness, a Silk Wrap, and a Stasis Snare.
So Silk Wrap, Stasis Snare, excellent here. Surge of Righteousness as well. I don't even mind the copies of Valorous Stance, because in the process of going off, of pumping something very large, usually the toughness of the creature will get to be 4 or greater. It's also just a pretty good answer to the landfall threats. Snapping Gnarlid will often be 4 toughness, so I think you bring in the Valorous Stance.
As Chris Andersen and Shawn OBrien get ready here for game number 2, we're going to talk about regionals a little bit here. A very popular promotion with Star City Games. Takes place on Pro Tour weekend, so if you're not qualified for the Pro Tour, definitely got something to play in and a cool playmat to acquire.
Yeah, it's the Ascend of Aya playmat made in-house by Chris Plesko, who does a lot of our art for various tokens and the invitational players, rewards, and so forth. The first 200 people who sign up for their regional championships will get this for free alongside a foil token.
The token, of course, can be used for a Johnny Goldmane. Of course, the Johnny Goldmane's ultimate is this creature's power and toughness are equal to your life total. Now, keep in mind with the regional championships, Season 1, February 6, 2016. Pretty important tournament for those that are looking to qualify for the Players' Championship, because it's harder to get there now, along with getting invitationals. Open Series points, SCG points for the tour, you can only get them at certain events. The main event, the classics that take place on day 2 of ASCG Tour Stop, and regionals. That's it.
Exactly. It's going to require a lot more Open Series attendance, either at the classics or the Open Series event itself. And these periodic tournaments we run, like states and regionals, to get the points to get to the Players' Championship. So if you're looking just for some high-stakes modern action here, you can see it's $1,200 rather for first place. Top 8 qualifies for the Invitational. Even if you have no aspirations of qualifying for one of our larger events, Regional Championships is a great mid-level little tournament to play in. Yeah. And if you're trying to get to the Invitational or you're trying to get to the Players' Championship, those points, those qualifications, quite valuable as well.
Well, it's time for game number 2 here. Shawn OBrien off to a quick start here with a Monastery Swiftspear. I know one of your favorite red creatures.
It's the best card in a Tarka red. I don't know if it's the best card in the landfall deck, but I was talking about this the other day with some friends of mine. It's the only card in a Tarka red that I'm confident I would play more than 4 copies of if it was legal.
All right, that's pretty high praise.
I don't even know if that's true of Abbot of Carol Keep. I don't know if that's true of, certainly any of the removal spells, of Titan Strength, but Swiftspear I'd play way more than 4 if they let me.
Well, we're going to go back Shawn OBrien's way. You see Warden of the First Tree here from Chris. Looks like an Evolving Wilds here for OBrien. Chris going to sacrifice, excuse me, not going to sacrifice, just going to play a plains. Now he's going to come across here with his warden. Doesn't look like any pumps happening. Now he's got to air the wilds. Good blocker, obviously.
Yeah, it's very important for decks like Megamorph that are trying to block. It's very good to put a bunch of death touch creatures on the table because then it requires Temur Battle Rage to be able to profitably attack through the creature.
We're going to head back O'Brien's way now. He'll draw a card. So Cinderglade. And now here's an attack for 1. There's Temur Battle Rage. So that's basically going to trade with the Air of the Wilds by giving a first strike.
But the more that Andersen can get the Temur Battle Rages out of O'Brien's hand, the harder and harder it is for O'Brien to set up the flurry of pump spells he needs to win in one turn. And Andersen's deck is pretty good at mucking up the ground along the way. So that was the card that O'Brien needed to have there to justify that attack. But Andersen doesn't really mind trading with one of them.
Back over to Shawn O'Brien we go. Andersen with just 3 mana available. That can mean a bunch of different things, obviously. Stasis Snare, Surge of Righteousness, and who knows what else. Here's 4 mana. Outpost Siege, looking to play a bit of a longer game as Shawn.
I don't know if you can necessarily win a longer game, and I'm skeptical of bringing this card in against a deck with Dromoka's Command, but if Andersen can't answer it, if his plan for this turn was just cast a removal spell, this is a very good Outpost Siege.
Oh, there's Stasis Snare to take care of the Swift Spear. Andersen going to untap, take a draw step. Found a Valor stance. So Shawn O'Brien's got that Outpost Siege on cons. Gonna get to see 2 cards a turn now. We'll sacrifice the Windswept Heath. We'll see what comes next, excuse me, from Andersen.
He's trying to do that balance of get enough pressure to shorten the game while making sure I don't get killed on the way back.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable when you're playing against a red deck. You know, Shawn has nothing on the table besides an Outpost Siege right now, but there could be a Swift Spear and then all of a sudden you're just dying a flurry of spells.
Mm-hmm. Fortunately, though, the landfall deck is a little bit shorter on haste compared to the Atarka red deck, so it's rare that you get killed out of nowhere.
Den Protector the reveal. Forest the draw. Forest to be the land. And this might be Sarkhan, yeah. Well, this will allow O'Brien to actually kill something. Sarkhan going to fall down to 1. But now Hangerback Walker can kind of finish that off, so unclear how effective of a turn that was.
I think my preference would have been to simply cast the Den Protector face down and pass. It's not a great use of Sarkhan, and this game's likely to go on for a long time. It's not like he has to be in that big of a rush to get the Warden off the table.
Here's Gideon from Andersen. Looks like a Knight Ally is on the way. We'll pass the turn back. Let's go back to Shawn. Swift Spear is the reveal. A Roast was the draw. Throughout all of this, there is a winning combination of cards here for Shawn O'Brien that can kill Andersen this turn. That's what makes this deck so scary.
It's part of the reason that Andersen has an incentive to shorten the game, is you can die from nowhere and from nothing on the other side of the table. You can just get killed.
And there's a Roast. Now what's next? Atarka's Command. So it depends on what modes have been selected and where the Swift Spear is attacking.
I think the most efficient thing to do here is Atarka's Command just to pump, have the Swift Spear attack the Gideon, because now the Swift Spear is 4 power. The 3 damage can just go to Andersen.
Yeah, it looks like the communication is pretty unclear on exactly what Shawn wanted to do here.
Because he has 1 prowess trigger already from the Roast. The Atarka's Command is another prowess trigger, and the Atarka's Command pumps, and Swift Spear has 1 point of power, so that's how you get to 4.
But now Gideon's still just left on the table, so maybe a little bit of mismanagement there from O'Brien.
Yeah, and it's really bad news to have the Gideon on the table because every chump blocker that Andersen gets is another set of pump spells you need to power through.
So here's an attack for 6 from Chris. And now here's a stasis snare. Excuse me, here's a silk wrap, pardon me. Pass the turn back. OBrien gonna reveal.
And I like Andersen there sitting back on Valorous stance because that makes sure that some, haste creature plus become immense plus another pump spell sequence doesn't kill him.
Chris Andersen going to win this match over Shawn OBrien, 2-0. Grant Megamorph's going to take care of Red-Green Landfall. And for Chris, his day 2 dreams are alive. He's 6-3. And his top 8 dreams are alive, though it's going to be tough. He's going to have to go 6-0 tomorrow to make top 8.
Yeah, I mean, we're at 450-something odd here in Denver. So Andersen's still live for top 8. We've seen some players in this spot, maybe I'm 6-3. I don't feel that confident in my deck. Maybe I'll just cut my losses here and go play in the IQ tomorrow. I think Andersen's in a deep enough of a hole that doesn't cut it. He's kind of got to go for broke here, and I expect Andersen to do his best tomorrow to try to rip off a 6-0 and make the top 8.
I think his hand is forced. I think he's got a top 8 at the minimum to be able to keep himself in the race here. And it's going to be tough, but it's what it's going to take. And,